Well, hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and ardent newspaper reader, Nancy Bora. And what we're essentially up to every day in the morning is to take a look at the overnight developments, is to take a look at what the top headlines are telling us from English, Hindi, regional newspapers from down south as well. What are some tabloid headlines telling us? And that's actually not enough. We'll also tell you what the social media is abuzz with. If there's a meme that's going viral, well, the Gen Z can break it down for you. And if there's a video that's going viral, we'll try and throw it up there on the big wall so that everybody can enjoy it. Albeit, I say it every now and then that, most viral videos are videos that you can't show, in the public domain. Then again, the idea of the show is today's page one is to deconstruct today's page one for what we're going to essentially be covering throughout the day. It happens on a phone call or a Zoom call these days, which is an editorial meet, and what we're trying to do is to let you, the viewers, take part in our editorial meet. If there's anything that you think is worthy enough to be discussed, debated upon, get down in the comment sections, tell us what you like, what you don't like, and we'll try to, bring the right kind of information to you because, we're doing this for you. Why not take opinions from you? So meet us halfway and on that particular front as well. Due to, a time structure and, time that we have to adhere to, there is a list that Nancy and I have, jotted down. We come here like diligent journalists that we are and take a look at all the newspapers and jot down a list of stories that we definitely should talk about first thing in the morning. Maybe some of them die down, maybe some of them blow up. You never know what happens until we hit that prime time element. However, I'm a firm believer of all times being prime time. What is being concealed is news, what is being revealed is not news, which is why the name of the show is today's page one. Nothing special happening here. You can pick these up at your house as well. But if there's a discussion that you'd like to have, this is the right place for it. Now, in terms of the list that we've jotted down, Nancy pointed out that Modi and Mohammed bin Salman's strategic ties is something that we definitely should be doing in the morning. And I think it's absolutely right because if we're covering today's page one, it's right there across all newspapers. Even as the front page right now is about poll-bound Rajasthan and Ashok Gehlot over there spending a lot of money on advertisements, and keep a lookout on who's spending what kind of money on newspaper advertisements and what states are poll bound here. We'll take a look at that. In that Noida man's shocking murder, which again Nancy apprised me about, there's a reaction. We'll talk about that. There's a IIS officer who's essentially killed his lawyer wife, and he hid in the storeroom as well. Lots of gruesome details over there. A crime story. We thought we must speak about it as well. Then of course the Editors Guild, the journalists who were being vilified, they moved the Supreme Court, and they said that the Chief Minister's intimidatory behavior is why we've moved the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court granted them some external protection. They said no coercive action is going to be taken against these journalists, and now that extension of the protection order has been extended. But at the same time, the Editors Guild's journalists have told the Supreme Court that they went there on Army's invitation, nobody else. Also, apart from that, some more updates coming across from Manipur, so light on Manipur over there. When we're looking at Chandrababu Naidu's case and how the Chief Minister's pictures came about when the jail that the Chief Minister, the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, inaugurated, sitting inside the same cell. I mean, what an iconic photograph. People are already talking about how such an unprecedented thing has happened, a former Chief Minister being jailed in judicial custody currently. Meanwhile, the development is that all TDP MLAs have been put under house arrest, and the TDP now seeks the governor's intervention in Naidu's arrest. So we'll talk about that as well, ladies and gentlemen. What else is coming your way is, of course, the Maratha Quota story. Yesterday, Eknath Shinde, Ajit Pawar, Devendra Fadnavis, they all sat down in that all-party cabinet meet. उसमें बहुत सारे developments हो गए हैं. The first one being that the Maratha activists the Lathi charge incident that happened at Jalna. All the cases against the Maratha activists, they are going to be withdrawn. Apart from that, 3 police officers have been suspended in that case. We're going to talk about that as well, ladies and gentlemen. Some news coming across from Kerala High Court, where they have banned RSS drills inside temple premises, which has been an ongoing ordeal and controversy for the longest time. Now the High Court has intervened and it has banned RSS drills inside temple premises. 1 killed in violence after online post in Satara. The police has come out and given a reaction to help the viewers better understand what exactly happened. Online post से भी मौत हो सकती है. आप अगर ऑनलाइन आप ज़्यादा अपना टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हैं, if you're spending too much time on social media, it gets dangerous, Nancy.
I'll take care of that.
Babul Supriyo shunted out in Mamta cabinet reshuffle. Babul Supriyo, somebody who went to the BJP, came back to the TMC. Then the elections also happened, and abhi recently panchayat polls mein bhi काफी मार-धाड़ हुई. West Bengal elections and poll strategies, I mean, you can never tell what's happening, what's not happening. But one thing is for sure, Mamata Banerjee does know how to, command the TMC, the Trinamool over there, and what exactly works out best for her in those circumstances. There's a key hearing in Gyanvapi, and there's a lot of other matters that are going to take place in the Supreme Court. We're going to touch upon that. Kim, North Korea's Kim, he is heading to Russia to meet Putin. I mean, Kim Jong-un meeting Vladimir Putin. If this was a cartoon or an animation, there'd be nuclear bombs going right behind me. I mean, the only visuals that come across of Kim Jong-un is taking his daughter to a nuclear test site.
Yes. So that
on
is
her
what
birthday, the daughter launches a nuclear site, a nuclear test, probe. I mean,
and he is going to meet Putin.
He's going to meet Vladimir Putin. What is going to happen? What is going to happen next? Well, we'll tell you what the papers are telling us. There is a protest storm in Israel when we're looking at, judicial reforms over there, the judicial overreach, which many people are claiming, and on Netanyahu, the far-right government that he has in Israel, they're saying that, well, this is in favor of the country. We'll tell you what the papers are talking about that. And of course, hundreds feared killed in Libya after, floods in the eastern part of the country. Libya se bhi hamare paas bahut zabardast visuals hain. We'll try and show you those visuals. That actually sums up and rounds up our list that we have for you. One thing that people can't stop talking about is, of course, Virat Kohli's century yesterday, right here. A route to remember is what it says. Tons by Rahul, KL Rahul, and surprising, KL Rahul just came back into the team. And again, a century. The game was stopped because of rain over here and there. And, we also tried playing Pakistan a fortnight ago. That also match didn't happen because the rain delayed play. तब भी India ने batting कर ली थी, bowling करने का मौका नहीं मिलेगा. This time we got a chance to bowl and bowl them out. And to what an extent they didn't even send their batsmen after, being 8 wickets down. Just goes on to show India's superiority. Chandrayaan, Aditya L1, G20, Asia Cup, India, Pakistan. Like Rishi Sunak said, it's a great year for India. But let's begin right on the top with Mohammed bin Salman and Prime Minister Modi tightening and strengthening that leadership and relationship between India and Saudi Arabia. And we had visuals from yesterday, when he was accorded a full-blown state visit. It was an official state visit where MBS came and met the President Draupadi Murmu. There was a guard of honor. There were some bilateral talks that happened, meetings, some minutes of the meetings were signed. What are you learning from the newspaper that you have there? What are some of the salient and key highlights of the Modi-MBS meet? Well,
as you were saying, the images of them signing something, well, it was MOU. So the India and Saudi have signed like 47 MOUs together. And, they have essentially talked about the 2 sectors that have come up significantly in the bilaterals were defense and energy, which is something that India is looking out to expand, something that India should look out to expand its sectors, because India and defense is something that, Saudi has been a longest partner. If you think about it, India is the largest importer of Saudi crude oil. So I think it was very important that these two guys, sat down and talked about expanding it with the corridor coming, with the historic economic corridor coming in.
And take a look at this. Buyer of oil for decades, India to now export energy to Saudi. I was reading of, a factual data somewhere where it said that India is Saudi Arabia's fourth, largest, trade partner, whereas Saudi Arabia is India's second largest trade partner, something like that.
It's the other way around. Other way around.
India is Saudi Arabia's second largest trade partner, yes. And Saudi is India's fourth largest trade partner. Well, that does go on to say something, and
well, that is what
essentially we understand why these two, leaders are, strengthening those relationship ties.
And I think India sent out a very important message right out there because, Saudi Arabia is India's third largest, importer of crude oil. But after the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia came into the picture and they started exporting discounted crude oil to India. But now after the war and after the influence, after the West's irritating India upon like why are you still having a deal with Russia? Please withdraw it, please withdraw it. And Russia also using that, no, we have a trade deal, so India cannot go against us completely. So India came out and India was like, no, you know what? We can have alternate career. We will strengthen our ties with Saudi and we'll go back to them. And it was a clear message to Saudi as well that India is an independent nation and we don't need to have a particular alliance.
Indirectly, that message also went across to Beijing as well.
Yes, China as well. The BRI that we are talking about, the road initiative that that we are going to counter with the economic corridor is something is very important to look at because India is continuously strengthening their ties with each nation, let's say Saudi, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, and still giving out a very clear message that we are still independent. We have alternates because we have good bilateral relations with every country. So we are going to have alternates on every trade route, you say, defense deals, you say, which was something interesting to see. And I think
I'm reading here, it says Spice Route 2.0 will be bigger than Silk Route, which is what the Saudi minister says. Saudi Arabian investment minister Khalid Al-Falih said here on Monday that the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or the IMEEEC, oh man, we'll have to deal with another set of acronyms. Would be equivalent to the Silk Route and Spice Route put together. He said the top leaders of both India and Saudi Arabia were aware of the opportunities as well as the challenges. Inc.'s memorandum of understanding plans to be export hub of fuel of the future. India and Saudi Arabia on Monday set out to transform their traditional oil buyer relationship into an energy transition partnership by agreeing to work towards building undersea interlink between their electricity grids, renewable power and green hydrogen capacities. Wow.
I mean, so many important, sectors that, Saudi and India had to talk about. And crude oil is something, energy is something, energy is a sector that, we need to, really expand because it's the future for developing countries. Sustainable development is possible, but crude oil is something that, it is not available. And one thing I also read about is that Saudi and India have agreed, like in 2019, they signed a deal of $100 billion investment in India, and it got delayed because of COVID pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. But now that deal has signed again, and Saudi has promised that they'll fulfill the promise of doing that big investment in India, because it's important that they set up refineries in our country, and it will be a good leap for the energy sector in India as well.
Taking a look at some of these Hindi newspapers as well. Pradhan Mantri Modi और Saudi Prince Salman के बीच भारत सऊदी अरब सहयोग परिषद की पहली बैठक. 4 लाख करोड़ की वेस्ट कोस्ट रिफाइनरी का काम तेज होगा. सऊदी अरब अगले कुछ साल में भारत में 8.20 लाख करोड़ निवेश करेगा. उफ. It seems like the trajectory is only up and onwards. गुजरात की गिफ्ट सिटी में वेल्थ फंड का दफ्तर संभव. So there's a possibility of an office that might be set up in Gujarat.
Well, it was amusing to see Kabir reading Hindi the first thing in the morning. But as you were saying about, China, that, we are giving a straight message to China, but I think China doesn't seem to get the memo because they are actually, appreciating us.
Yeah,
China
they're saying the G20 message is positive.
Positive.
The G20 Delhi declaration that has come out is very positive.
It's
You're
something that, they are appraising us, and Foreign Ministry said that China's position on Ukraine issue is clear. And the declaration that India has given out, it really positions China in a good light, really positions China at a positive outcome. So that is something that was interesting, because here we are giving clear out messages to China that, what, this is not going to work out for you. We are going to, cut ties with you. And on the other hand, we have China praising us, like, this is what we are talking about. So something interesting to note about, and I think the appreciation that we are getting from everybody, whether it's, bilaterals with Saudi, whether it's bilaterals with
Take a look at that. Take a look at that, Nancy. The new Spice Route 2.0. That's the corridor that we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. Before we move on, and we've already spoken about how these relationships are being strengthened, are being tightened. Modi-MBS have essentially laid the roadmap to boost investment ties, and take a look at that. The India Middle Eastern European corridor. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at international public digital infrastructure, but imagine on this route as well, what if Paytm works on this route? Your UPI works on this route. Your Indian apps, collective, applications, a larger platform for all these nations to come together. It's absolutely amazing now, isn't it?
And India was struggling to find a, direct route or a less cheaper route to Europe, because the market in Europe is still so unexplored, and similarly goes for Europe countries as well, because European countries really need to discover India's market, but there has been no route since then. The only route that the Belt and Road Initiative that we are talking about was China, and we have been in conflict with Pakistan over that route. So I think this move is definitely historic, and as Biden said, and I quote, that it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, because this is going to change the economic game forever.
The finance ministers of both these nations, Saudi Arabia and India, have sat down yesterday. They discussed Indian firms at London School of Economics and UK pension funds in India. So much that can already happen, and already so much that has been signed upon. The opportunities and, the encouragement here is that the dimensions that one can touch upon between these two countries, strengthening their relationships, is absolutely paramount. And you hit the nail on the head when you said that this is more like our own fuel independency.
True, and because the important thing to note in that is everybody is so excited to invest in India. If you go through all the bilateral relations and all the MOUs that are being signed, every country is so excited to expand the market in India, to expand, to explore the market, to be a part of India's growing economy, because I think everybody now understands that India is definitely going to be the next global economy, the next leading and the fastest growing economy in the world.
Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus here. Another news right here on the top page, and it's interesting because the peculiarity of the case is something that has caught my attention for sure. Take a look at this. Man kills lawyer wife, hides inside a Noida home for 16 hours. Now, in terms of the infographics that Times of India has put out here on the front page, it says, strangled for opposing sale of house. So the man essentially wanted to sell off the house the woman did not want. Renu Singh, a 61-year-old Delhi High Court lawyer, found dead in her Noida Sector 30 home. Her brother alerts cops after she doesn't take his calls, and he finds the main door locked but doesn't get any response from inside. The police break open the door, find Renu dead, and her husband Nitin, who's essentially been accused of this, carrying out this murder, to be missing. That's the picture of Renu Singh, the 61-year-old lady who's, the victim of this murder, alleged murder. So far, the police is currently probing the case. The developments are such that the police had to break open the door after Renu's brother called up the police because Renu wasn't picking up the phone, and when Renu's brother came and knocked on the door, there was no response from inside. However, the door was locked from inside. They scanned the CCTV footage, the police, and found that no one left the house around the time of the murder on Sunday morning. Cops then break open the doors of every room, find Nitin hiding in the anteroom. Like a false wall sort of a situation. Cops said the lawyer confronted her husband after coming to know that he had sold their house, which is the Noida Sector 30 house where the murder happened, for 4.5 crore rupees. They argued and he allegedly throttled her, and that's when it all happened. Now, it's important to note here, Nancy, that sniffer dogs failed to trace him. And cops go to Nepal. He's later found in the anteroom.
And he was hiding in the storeroom for the past 10 hours.
16 hours. 16 hours.
No, and the problem with all of this is that, these are educated people that we are talking about. He is an IAS officer. His wife was a lawyer. So I don't understand what goes behind all of this, because whenever we talk about, these brutal murders that are happening, and every time you see, you are getting murdered by somebody who you know all your life, because this is a husband we are talking about. You just had a feud over him, over selling the house, and the next thing you know is that you are being strangled to death, which is something that is concerning and that is growing day by day, because we report crimes every day now and then. But something like this saddens me even more, because these are educated people we are talking about. These are people coming from a very civil society, and the way you have to think to murder somebody and to make sure to hide the body for 16 hours, that is something that I don't think so that somebody does in heat of the moment. You have to have some planning for it. After you have done the murder, what are you going to do? Are you going to inform the police? How are you going to hide the body? Everything. And people who have no criminal history, people who come from a civil society, who are just like us, they go to their office, they come back home, and then they tend to do things like that, is something that is so shocking and saddening that what
other
else
developments,
can we
Nancy, take a look at this. Other developments for all the viewers in this particular gruesome and shocking murder case that has come to light. Take a look at this. Renu, the 61-year-old woman, was diagnosed with bone cancer some years ago and had a pancreatic ailment as well. She was mostly confined to her room because she needed to stay in a temperature controlled space. On the other hand, there's a picture of Nitin, who's the accused in this case. He was planning to consult his lawyer on whether to leave the country or whether he should surrender. There's another infographic that's right here. It says September 10th, 9:30 a.m. Renu Sinha and her husband Nitin have a heated argument over the sale of their house, for which Nitin had apparently struck a deal. At 9:30 to 10 a.m., somewhere around this time, Nitin strangles Renu to death. 10:30 to 11:30 a.m., this particular hour, the house help reports to work. Nitin sends her away. Later on, a broker comes to see the house, shown the drawing rooms on the ground and the first floor, whilst the murder has happened and Nitin is still at home. तो आपने domestic help को वापस भेज दिया, अब broker आया, उसको नीचे वाला घर दिखा दिया, जबकि घर में murder हो चुका है. Between 12 to 1 p.m., Nitin locks the entire house. Okay. शाम में 4-5 बजे 4 to 5 p.m. Renu's brother comes to check on her and finds the house locked from inside, but no one answers the door and later informs the police. Between 5 to 5:30 p.m., he says the police broke open the door of the house and found Renu dead in the washroom. 4 teams were set up to trace Nitin. No one was seen leaving the house in the CCTV. Cops break open the room doors, but the cops initially in the 16 hours were sent to Nepal because the lawyer's kin, Renu's kin, feared that the husband could leave the country as well, which was actually a possibility. He was thinking about it. Finally, at about 11, on September 11th, at about 2 a.m., cops check each room of the house and find Nitin in an ante-room. He is likely to have spent at least 9 hours in that room alone. I mean, what a time to introspect. क्या कुछ चल रहा होगा उसके दिमाग में?
Exactly, to plan something like this, to kill your own life partner and then hide the body for 16 hours. And to even, somebody has to, lose their calm at some point that oh my God, what I have done. Sometime you have to come into your senses and be like, oh my God, what did I do? But, these people, they try to hide it. They are not surrendering also. They are like, the body is there. He had the audacity to let the broker come in and see the niche wala ghar. That is something I feel like, I don't know what is going on, in people's mind nowadays. Where is this going to stop? How are we going to, let people know that this is not something that is, because reporting these kind of stories is very saddening, because we are talking about a civil society here. These people are come from a very designated profession. Once is an IAS officer, once is a lawyer, and then you read incidents like this is something that I don't think I will be able to get okay with.
Baba, real estate, you know what they say, it never goes down, always go up, and over a property, you've killed your life partner. Well, there you have it. That's the accused over there in the frame that you can see. Nitin, who killed his, allegedly, so far, killed his lawyer wife. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. We've got other news planned and lined up for you. And once again, right here on the front page is what I can see. By the way, I'm reading here, it says total ban on firecrackers again this Diwali. And all of winter, says the Delhi government. Again, we've come to that time where winter, pollution, Delhi, Patake, Diwali. And it's going to be the same debate again, which will again get communal tones also. It will get socio-political tones also. And the ban on firecrackers. Let's wait out a little bit more. We'll come back to this story in just a little bit. Wanted to focus a little bit more on, what's happening in Manipur now, Nancy. It says here, and this is went on army's invite. The 3 editors in Manipur Rao, they tell the Supreme Court. And the court considers shifting plea on FIRs to the Delhi High Court. Now, there's another infographic here. I'll just quickly read it out. Because there were a couple of editors, of the Editors Guild of India who had gone to Manipur and to find and submit their own fact-finding report for their own selves. Well, reportage and journalism is also being questioned from Manipur. Because let's not forget, Manipur is currently torn between ethnic violence and socio-political fault lines. Absolutely. And people are unable to understand how to reconcile these two dissenting sides and communities. But what's more is that the kind of journalism that's coming out, nobody knows if that's credible, nobody knows if the right voices are coming out, nobody knows if it's neutral, if it's objective, if it's actually news at all, or if it's propaganda. So there are various claims from both sides ki इनके मीडिया हाउसेस काम कर रहे हैं, दूसरी कम्युनिटी बोल रही है आपके मीडिया हाउसेस काम कर रहे हैं. So this is why it's important that somebody like an independent institution like the Editors Guild goes there. Now, went on army's invite, the 3 editors have told the Supreme Court this in the Manipur Rao. Protection from arrest has been extended for these journalists. Court declines to quash FIRs against Editors Guild members, but considers transferring their plea to Delhi High Court, seeks Manipur government's view. And we're still getting visuals of, the violence that's taking place and the protest that is being carried out. So many youths and youngsters very recently came out on the streets of Imphal and, started going door to door, visiting all these civil society organizations, trying to understand and ask them, boss, what's happening? Will this continue forever? When will normalcy return to this hill state?
And as they should have gone there. My problem with the whole situation is that first you invite, whether they invited or not, they invite a independent organization like Editors Guild. They go and they report about an ethnic violence. Some people have to understand that whenever you cover an ethnic violence, there is going to be one community that is not going to agree with the reporting, with the kind of reporting that they are doing. So I don't understand why is there a need to, make a ruckus out of it and say, no, they are doing this and get them arrested. So again, the freedom of expression and everything that also comes in. But
you're absolutely right.
But my question then again is that why would the army invite the Editors Guild at the first place? You know that they are an independent organization. You might, if you have invited them.
There are various claims on the army as well that, portion of the Assam Rifles favor a particular community and, some in the Manipur police favor a particular community, which is why both these forces are unable to look each other in the eye as well, and they can't shake their hands on it. It also says that, and this is coming from the Supreme Court, ladies and gents, will set the wrong precedent if petitioners get to move Delhi High Court instead of jurisdictional High Court in Imphal, which is what Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has argued. Now, journalists say that they visited Manipur at the invitation of the army, which was upset over biased and unethical reporting in local media. See, right here. So, the army says that it was upset over the biased and unethical reporting by the local media. submit letter from 3 Corps HQ in Nagaland to the EGI president, the Editors Guild of India's president. They submitted a letter from 3 Corps HQ in Nagaland to the EGI president. Again, you've got Nagaland now involved here again. Why would army invite EGI to come to find for fact finding, asks the Chief Justice. Journalist's lawyer Kapil Sibal, again he's there always, some or the other case Kapil Sibal is fighting the Supreme Court every day, says army letter asked EGI to vet annexed media reports to see if they flouted norms and take requisite action. Is that something that the army can do or not, is my question now. Because can the army, because it seems like कि भाई आर्मी ने बोला आप आइए एक बारी चेक कर लीजिए कि जिस तरीके की प्रैक्टिस यहाँ पर की जा रही है, how journalism is being carried out over here, is it upholding the principles, the ethical values of journalism? That was the question. The army was upset कि local media is not, you know, is it corroborated news, is it is the news vetted or not? That was their agenda. CGI is asking why army needs to come in here. Kapil Sibal says, well, this is why army called us there, and the Editors Guild must have thought that this is part of their responsibility.
Exactly. And you know, when we talk about these kind of issues, we have to understand, you know, the moment Manipur violence started, the ethnic violence erupted in the city, in the state, the only thing that came up again and again was the problem with the army professor, whether it's security forces, that they are being unfair, there is police brutality, there is this, there is that. So I understand the objective of the army of calling an independent organization to come in and do the reporting, that see that this is what we have been doing nothing wrong. But something that you might think is not wrong, one independent organization came in, they reported, and now they are like, this can be something that is wrong. So now they are again questioning them only, that why did you come and why did you do this unbiased reporting, which I feel like that we don't know what the reality is, how much relevance the Editors Guild report carries with it, but still, how are you now questioning? And the offenses that they are making against them is something which is also something that is concerning to me, because as Kapil Sibal said, that once we give a report, there can't be offenses under the penal code on that basis. See the kind of offenses we are being prosecuted for, and how can these offenses stand? Like, you are asking to arrest them, you are saying that they did unbiased opinion, and if you pile up on it, if you keep piling up on it, then the essence of journalism is gone. If anybody can come in and anybody can object your report. Report is something that can be, it has to have some facts, but it doesn't have to be according to your way, according to the way you want it to get reported. So this kind of discussion goes around in democracy again and again, because India is a democratic country, so we have to prepare ourselves that as journalists, they are going to question the way we report things. But I think that this whole situation, I don't understand that why did army call the Editors Guild in the first bit if they knew that they are going to have objections? This
viewpoint of yours is also gaining traction, because this is what the Solicitor General also said inside the Supreme Court. He said the report by these journalists on Manipur is actually a bid to turn the crisis into a national row.
And it
so
is
this
important
is what the SG says for the government. It says Solicitor General Tushar Mehta argued against permitting 3 Editors Guild of India members who have been booked by the Manipur police from moving to the Delhi High Court with their plea for quashing the FIRs. Mehta said the SC had earlier granted interim protection from arrest to some other people, but asked them to move Manipur High Court, which was open and functional. It will create the wrong precedent if the petitioners are given the relief of moving the Delhi High Court instead of the jurisdictional High Court in Imphal, which is the Manipur High Court. And the SC may find itself flooded with petitions seeking similar relief in many other cases. So, do you agree? This is how the SG puts it. कि आपके पास और भी केसेस आने लगेंगे, सब आपसे बोलेंगे कि हमारा केस बदल दीजिए, ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए. अगर उनका मणिपुर में केस लगा है तो फिर मणिपुर से ही केस लड़ना पड़ेगा. There is a noticeable bias in the coverage that is contributing to decisiveness and divisiveness and the violence. This is what the Editors Guild had earlier said in the Supreme Court. But there's another aspect to the Manipur story, you know that, Nancy? The aspect of, how the NCST has said that, it's essentially about wrongdoings here again. The NCST says that hill villages have wrongly been included in the valley districts. This is what the NCST says. So again, regional, there are so many socio-economic fault lines. Of course, there's a regional war that's happening in terms of real estate. Kiske paas kitna land hai, what can you do on that land, who owns that land, what kind of rules go about, various schedules of the government. On the other hand, the other one is reservation. Reservation and land are partly, they overlap in certain areas. Apart from that, there's the porous border, there's narco-terrorism, there's of course the entire Methi cookie onslaught that's going on, the weaponry with the people, the sophisticated guerrilla warfare. All of that is out there. But now, again, the NCST comes out and says that a lot of valley districts, a lot of hill districts, जहाँ पर कम पॉपुलेशन है जो कि ज़्यादा एरिया है वो वैली में आपने इंक्लूड करे हुए हैं they are not actually part of valley.
And it came out like after they went through the 2011 Manipur census. So we are talking about the census that happened in 2011 and it highlights the problem that happened in 2000. So again, the ethnic violence that is happening, the issue that is happening in Manipur, this just adds fuel to the fire that now, okay, now the land is also wrongfully included, now the hill valleys are also, included wrongfully. So now again the disputes, cracks wide open that who is actually the owner of these area, who is going to live here. And we have to understand that Manipur is a state which, which is, it is dominated by ethnic communities. So we have to understand that these boundaries have to be very clear, and if they are not clear, because in Manipur the violence broke out because the boundaries, ethnic boundaries are not clear at all. They are saying the Metis came in, now people are saying no, the Cookies came in and they snatched our land. So these kind of incidents and these kind of reports, this is going to crack the ethnic violence and the turmoil in, that is happening in Manipur wide open. And I think now the government really needs to come in and address the situation and address that what is happening, how they are going to resolve it, because now it's been a long period of time, like when the normalcy is going to come back again in Manipur is something that I feel like now there doesn't seem to be any answer to it.
I'm just going to give the viewers the news straight up and maybe they can think and decide about it themselves. A report by the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, the NCST, which is what we're talking about, has observed that several hill villages in Manipur were wrongly included in the valley districts during the census of the 2011. It said that in the booklet of the Census of India to 2011 and Administrative Atlas, Manipur has wrongly included several hill villages under valley districts, and that the issue had been flagged to the state government by the Office of the Registrar General of India in 2017, which is also the intervening time when N. Biren Singh again came to the helm of the affairs. The NCST's report was prepared on a state review of Manipur in December 2022. During the review, the NCST team met with officials of the Manipur government and also took representations from all the tribal students' unions, Manipur, and the Joint Coordination Committee on Tribal Rights in Imphal. The report had also noted that the withdrawal of the Armed Forces Special Provision Act, the AFSPA, from the hill areas of Manipur needs to be reviewed, taking into account the ground reality of the hill areas as they become peaceful, as the AFSPA has been withdrawn from 15 police stations of the valley districts in the state. The NCST also said that the definition of hill areas was clear in the first schedule of the Manipur Legislative Assembly order, and that all boundary disputes had to be settled as per this definition of 1972. Well, another fault line. If this wasn't enough, another fault line that has now come to the fore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we're looking at domestic politics, let's also throw some light on Chandrababu Naidu, what's happening in Andhra Pradesh, because we must talk about Chandrababu Naidu. It is a trending topic. People can't stop talking about Chandrababu Naidu. By the way, this is the third newspaper already that has Rajasthan and Ashok Gehlot's photograph right on the front page. But again, reading from what I'm picking up on the front page over here, it says, all 19 TDP MLAs under house arrest since early Saturday. The state government has placed all 19 TDP MLAs in Andhra Pradesh under house arrest for the past 72 hours. Police arrived at the houses of all MLAs and other senior TDP leaders in the early hours of Saturday, soon after the arrest of party chief and former Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu in Nandyal. Now, we saw those visuals of him sitting in that jail cell, a prison that he himself inaugurated. I mean, what happens in this country? Sometimes you're appalled.
Matlab, I have to give it to the, vice
It is a very Nelson Mandela moment. Let me tell you that also. Yeah. If what many people are saying, in the political realm, that Jagan Mohan Reddy is trying to curb that sympathy factor out of Chandrababu Naidu's arrest and all that. Well, this is a proper Nelson Mandela moment. Yeah. You're letting him churn all the sympathy that he can.
And if they are not able to prove him, wrongfully convicted in this AP development, skill development scheme that we were talking about, he is going to come out as a hero. Because, because first of all, you got him arrested at oddly hours at 6 AM in the morning. Now you have given house arrest to all the TDP MLAs, and now even if the government is giving a petition also, they are signing a petition as well that this is wrongful, the arrest is wrongful. There is no name, Chandrababu Naidu's name is not in there in the FIR, and still he is being treated like the prime conspirator behind the whole scam. So this is something, and I was reading here, and this is what, this is an important development that TDP chief claims jail threats move court for house remand. So now that he is getting threats in the jail as well, that the TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu moved to court Monday seeking house remand as judicial custody instead of jail in view of perceived threats to his life.
You know what other people are also talking about? How, all these influential people never really end up in jail for long. It's either some medical issue, it's either some threat, something important that happens to these dignitaries that they don't really stay in jail. और जो लोग केस लड़ रहे हैं जिनको अपने राइट्स के बारे में भी नहीं पता, so many of our tribal brothers and sisters, so many of our countrymen who are unaware of what is at their legal remedy are still fighting for their cases and are stuck inside jails. I mean, of course, I'm digressing over here. Let me just quickly read out the news and we'll move on, ladies and gents. It says TDP chief and former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu moved court on Monday seeking house remand as judicial custody instead of jail in view of perceived threats to his life. Moving his plea before the special ACB court, Naidu currently lodged in Rajamundry Central Prison after his arrest 2 days ago in an alleged skill development scam, cited his Z Plus NSG cover and an earlier attack by Maoists when he was the chief minister as the reason why he should be moved into house remand. The court will pass orders on his plea on Tuesday. The CID also filed a petition seeking his custody, which is yet to be heard. So the court will pass orders on his plea today on whether he's going to come out of that jail and go into house remand or stay in judicial custody inside the central prison of Rajamundry. TDP MLAs, all 19 of them under house arrest. More importantly, the TDP MLAs are now seeking government's intervention, which is, I believe, Tamilisai Soundarajan, if I'm not wrong, and if I don't have that incorrect. The governor will now have to intervene if, well, they pay heed to what the TDP MLAs want. On the other hand, Chandrababu Naidu is fearing for his life and he's feeling scared and threatened. Will he go to his, residential remand? Well, that is something that we'll have to wait and watch out for. You can, of course, count on News 9 to bring you the latest developments on this, ladies and gentlemen. All right, moving on, and let's talk about the Maratha Quota stir again, something that is right here on the front page, because a lot of developments happened. Jalna में मार पिटाई हुई, Jalna में लाठी चार्ज हुआ, काफी पुलिस वाले भी घायल हो गए. There was a lot of Maratha activists who also, got injured. I was speaking to some people, our colleague Kiran Tare, who's been essentially talking about developments taking place in Jalna, in Aurangabad essentially, in Jalna, beg your pardon. What essentially has happened is that Maratha activists wanted the cases against them to be dropped. That is something that has happened. Kisi ka bhi case nahi hai. All the cases have been dropped. And this is after an all-party meeting. After an all-party meeting on the Maratha Quota issue on Monday, Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde announced that three more officials will be suspended in connection with the lathi charge on agitators in Jalna on September 1st, and that cases against Maratha protesters would be withdrawn. So this is development towards placating the Maratha community. The Maratha community ka demand kya hai? Maratha community wants more reservation.
Yeah. And we have to understand that this has been going on for 32 years now. So when they, the reservation came in, it was 16%. So at that time, the other OBC castes that are there in Maharashtra, they went and they said that you cannot give 16% quota to them, because now we'll have to share our quota with them, because a state is allowed to give reservation quota to a certain percent, when 16% was exceeding that. So at that time also they squashed the reservation to 12% and 13%. But now, after that also, the petition went to the court and they were like, this is not allowed, because they are exceeding the limit a state can, the limit that a state is provided by the center to give reservation quotas. So now Eknath Shinde, he called an all-party meeting. Now he's like, we have to decide on that, because after the Jalna protest, it was very clear that these quota reservation can fuel up into a very big issue, which there is no need to, because reservation politics there is something that will go on in India for years to come, because to decide whether which caste should get how much reservation is something that a government really needs to look into it. And I think this was fair enough, a fair thing to do, that they withdraw all the cases against the Jalna protesters, because this is something that they're asking for reservation, and the lathi charge was completely not needed. So suspension of the police officers who did the lathi charge is also something I think was a fair enough point from the Maharashtra government. So I think it was an important step that needed to be taken, and I think now it's finally time that they address the issue and they finalize that if they are going to give Maratha quota that they have been asking for a long period of time now.
These are visuals of the Bandh that you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen. A deserted auto rickshaw stand that I'm looking at here in the newspaper, reading out the picture caption outside Thane railway station during a Bandh called by the Sakal Maratha Morcha to condemn the police action at a recent protest in Jalna over the Maratha reservation, जिस पर अब government ने action ले लिया है. After all party meet, Maharashtra government urges quota activists to join the caste certification panel, suspends 3 officials for lathi charge. The Maharashtra Telangana highway was blocked by protesters as well. This is what we're picking up. So developments taking place in Maharashtra as well, and around the Maratha Quota Rao. What's going to happen? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Devendra Fadnavis, Eknath Shinde are certainly going to be, gherified by media personnel everywhere for a reaction and the developments. So, आगे क्या होगा वो देखते जाइए. But it seems like the government has certainly taken action on this, and the cases have been dropped, and the 3 more police officers have been suspended. And they're saying that the Maratha community to join the reservation certification panel, the caste certification panel. So we'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, Bandh was called and protesters carried out that Bandh in the entire area in Aurangabad as well. The Mumbai-Telangana highway was also blocked. All right, from Maharashtra, let's shift our focus to Kerala, ladies and gentlemen, where the RSS drills inside temple premises have been banned.
And I think it was important because there was complaint. This has been, again, these kind of issues has been going on for a very long time.
Especially in Kerala, this was happening for the longest time.
Because, RSS has, because the mass drills and the use of weapons they do, this is not something, this is not a place, temple is not the right place to do your mass drills and weaponries. And, people who are devotees and worshippers who go there every day, it is, intimidating to see a whole RSS group, practicing their mass drills, using weaponries and everything like that. So it is scary, and I think Kerala High Court somewhere, they had to, intervene in between, because this is something RSS is a very dominating, organization, and you cannot just, because they tend to, create or link themselves with Hinduism. They have cleared it many times that we are not related to Hinduism, but this is something that, it's Hinduism, Hindutva is a great part of their ideology as well. So I think, it is important that Kerala High Court finally intervene. And because we are talking about temple is not the place to, hold mass drills and use weaponries and something like that. So I think it was fair enough, but I have to see that because RSS is not going to back down this easily. So I'm really excited to see how this development is going to take place, how the order is going to be perceived by the RSS and the organization, that they can do mass drills wherever they want to, because the temple premises, the ground that they need is in the temple premise. So this kind of conflict, I really want to see how this development turns out in the future.
You're absolutely right. I'm just going to read out and give the people the news. I'm reading an e-copy on this is an NDTV e-copy. It says the court was disposing of a petition by 2 devotees seeking an order to prevent the illegal use of the temple premises by the RSS and its members, and illegal use has been highlighted. It says here the Kerala High Court said that no mass drill or weapons training will be allowed on the premises of the Satara Devi temple in Thiruvananthapuram district. The temple is under management of the Travancore Devaswam Board, the TDB. The court's direction came when it was disposing of petitions by 2 devotees over the illegal use of and unauthorized occupancy of the temple. The High Court directed the police to provide necessary assistance for the strict compliance of an earlier TDB order banning RSS shakhas and branches and mass drills at the shrines managed by the board. No mass drill or weaponry practice shall be permitted on the premises of the said temple, which is under the management of the Travancore Devaswam Board. The station house officer of the police station of the responsible police station shall render necessary assistance to the administrative officer to ensure strict compliance of the prohibition. All right then, developments taking place in Kerala as well. All right, what do you want to take up next? I'm thinking we should talk about that social media post ending the life of somebody, this coming from Satara. What's the case about? Where is the case from? Where is Satara? Tell the people, what was this online post? Kaun sa platform tha? Was it a Facebook post? Was it an Instagram post? Or how was the act of killing? How was that crime committed?
Well, I'll just read out the news very quickly for the viewers, that 1 person was killed and 10 others suffered injuries when members of 2 communities clashed at a village in Satara district of Maharashtra following an objectionable post on social media. So the which social media platform we are talking about is not yet disclosed, and police said that on Monday. The police said district administration have refused to disclose the content and nature of the social media post, citing sensitivities involved in the case. They also refused to divulge the identity of the deceased and 23 accused arrested in the incident so far. So right now we don't have any information what the objectionable post was about and on which social media site
we've got a police reaction. Let's quickly listen into that for more details, and then maybe we can decode it for ourselves.
There was some objectionable comment posted on the Instagram account of the one suspected person. He was being interrogated at the Puse Saudi outpost. During that time, suddenly some youths mob gathered in that area, in the locality. They tried to damage the public property there, and some vehicles were put on the fire. In this incident, some 10 people of the other group were injured, and one succumbed to the injuries during this. So, relevant offence has been registered under the stringent sections of the IPC. Total 23 suspected accused have been taken into custody. In another offence regarding the objectionable social media post, offence has been registered and it is being investigated seriously, who are behind these social comments. So in the both offences, the professional and thorough investigation is being done by the Satara District Police Force. Satara SP and District Magistrate of the Satara both are constant touch, and they are looking towards the ground realities, and all the bandobast and deployment had been made carefully and seriously. We appeal to the citizens in general not to fall prey to any mischievous post and any rumors. There are the prohibitory orders issued in the Satara district, so they should not gather in the public place, and they should not try to disturb public peace and tranquility. To eradicate the menace of the social media playing a major role and fake messages, net closure orders had been issued for the 2 days. So in general, there is at present total control over the situation, and it is now normal. Our watch will continue for the future time.
So social media post sparks violence in Maharashtra, 1 dead, 10 people hurt. On top of that, what's more, prohibitory orders that have been placed, prohibitory orders that have been imposed, people can't step out. After a 32-year-old man was killed, some objectionable comment, I mean, police also doesn't know what objectionable comment, ye kya tha exactly. But then again, I mean, people don't deal with their sensitivities, and social media, you know, people wear their hearts on their sleeves, people, you know, are so vain behind the screens. That was actually rhymed. But the perils and the dangers of social media, it is a blessing. It's a boon, but at the same time, it's a dangerous bane as well. All right, let's move on. We've got lots of other news to cover as well, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a total ban on firecrackers till the end of winter in Delhi. वैसे भी for the longest time there haven't been a lot of patakas or firecrackers on Deepavali in the national capital, but there's going to be a complete blanket ban on firecrackers this time around as well. It seems like the Arvind Kejriwal government is trying to make sure कि इस बारी इतना pollution ना हो right at the onset of winters, because come winters and we're continuously talking about you know, how it gets polluted again, and the AQI is the most trending word post October till early January. That's what people are talking about. People are talking about stubble burning, people are talking about pollution, people are talking about you know, how Diwali is to blame, people are talking about how, you know, Hinduism is not part of it. There is so much, but the bottom line is it benefits us all. People are also saying that there are so many people who make these firecrackers, you know, because it's not just a firecracker ban on the, you know, bursting of firecrackers. You can't manufacture them, you can't store them. All of it is allowed. Total ban of firecrackers again this Diwali and all of winter, says the Delhi government, as curbs and AQI slips into satisfactory position. Delhi Environment Minister Gopal Rai on Monday announced a blanket ban on all kinds of fireworks this Diwali and through the winter in a bid to control pollution levels in the coming months. At least, you know, the Delhi government is proactive, because let's not forget, the Supreme Court only last year had pulled up and wrapped the knuckles of the Delhi government and said that, you know, what are you doing for this? Which is why you then saw those machines that came out in the national capital, pani chhidka ja raha tha, daily safai ho rahi thi. This is not last year, of course, file visuals that we're showing our viewers, but this is what winter is like in the national capital. And Nancy, this year again, it will be similar.
And I'm just waiting for the debate to start, when, you know, people will come around and say that we only talk about saving water when it's Holi, we only talk about pollution when it's Diwali. So I'm just waiting for the debate to start, and nobody is going to do anything about it. Everybody is going to, you know, it's a time of the festival. The festival is of 5 days. Apart from that, the pollution is still there for like 3 to 4 months. We have to understand that pollution is air pollution doesn't come in like the time of Diwali ki 5 din pollution and then the air is clear. No, that doesn't happen. It's just that in winter, you know, the air gets condensed and you can see the pollution that is there. But this is something that we have to take care of it, and whether we like it or not, pollution and, you know, saving water is something essentially required for us to, you know, sustain our resources, to have, you know, to go to the path of development. So debating over it, whether it's related to Hinduism or not, is just, you know, some of the, you know, injections, I would say, that has been, you know, pinched out into the audience that, you know, they are opposing, they are trying to eradicate pollution because they don't like Diwali.
But it's a good thing that it's happened, right?
Yeah, of course it is.
So it's a good thing, because you know what they say, sun's out, guns out, and in winters they say pollution's out, so masks out. Maybe this time around it will be much more better than what we've seen in the earlier years. Last year was still way better, because not a lot of people, you know, were bursting crackers. But let's see what happens this year. All right, let's talk about a little bit of West Bengal politics as well, because Babul Supriyo, somebody who jumped ship from the TMC to the BJP, then again from the BJP came back to the TMC, let go of his parliamentary post, then again came to the Trinamool Congress. In this latest reshuffle, well, it seems like Babul Supriyo has been left out. And Babul Supriyo, the celebrity, the songwriter, you know, the singer, in this new Mamta reshuffle, he's been left out.
And I think it's going to take a lot of then just joining back the party to gain Mamta Didi's trust now. Because Mamta Banerjee has always been a very strong leader, and I think, this reshuffling is something that, and ahead of the Lok Sabha election, because, now parties have to understand that they are not alone on their own. They are part of a opposition alliance right now. So I think Mamta Banerjee has done the reshuffling, keeping all of things in mind, that who are going to be loyal to her, who are going to help her in the elections, and how she is going to, because in an alliance also, you have to make sure that you stand as a strong
latest
individual.
scoop, Nancy, on this. A latest scoop, Nancy. Take a look at this. And I'm reading the Telegraph's e-copy. It says Bengal cabinet reshuffle, spat with Indranil Sen, costs Babul Supriyo the tourism berth. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Monday removed Babul Supriyo from the tourism department and reinstated Indranil Sen at its helm in a cabinet reshuffle that included other minor changes in the portfolios of ministers. The proposal for the reshuffle was sent to Raj Bhavan and signed by the Governor C.V. Anand Bose last evening. A notification to this effect has been issued. Blah, 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 blah. Essentially, Supriyo's removal from tourism, a source said, was imminent after the recent public spat between him and Sen in the assembly. The Chief Minister was not very happy with the Minister Supriyo's performance in the tourism department. After the public spat initiated by Supriyo, his removal was just a matter of time, as several ministers lodged complaints against him with the Chief Minister. This is a source that the Telegraph has not revealed. So, Babul Supriyo, there is actually a story at play over here as well. Public spat with Indranil Sen, and Mamata Banerjee not really liking Babul Supriyo's work in the tourism department. According to the source on the Telegraph, तो कुछ पंगा तो रहेगा boss पीछे.
Yeah, and you don't mess with Mamata Banerjee, because she will make sure that she gets to you one way or the other.
खेला होएगा अच्छे.
Yeah. And ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, I think Mamata will do whatever she has to do to make sure that her party stands strong. So people who have,
but I think this is more about her administrative control in West Bengal again, because Babul Supriyo is somebody who enjoys a lot of popularity and fiefdom, and he's got his own fan following. But Babul Supriyo ke liye, what next that can be debated. Maybe this can turn into a nice discussion. Of course, this INDIA angle that you've thrown here is of grave significance. But again, that spat with Indranil Sen and Mamata Banerjee not liking Babul Supriyo's work in the tourism department could be another local, West Bengal ka domestic, political reason behind this particular reshuffle, not INDIA or national politics per se, because because the assembly term is also secured for a couple of years right now. All right, let's talk about Kim Jong-un. All right, no, actually, before we talk about Kim Jong-un, we must talk about Morocco, because when we're beginning talking about international news, we must throw light on the Morocco quake, where the death toll has certainly climbed up. 2,800 is what we're looking for. The hope for survivors is slightly fading, even though when we were covering the Turkey earthquake, those devastating earthquakes, we saw how people had battled and struggled for their lives for about 180 odd hours, and small babies that were also recovered and found later on. But the glimmer of hope is slightly fading away. 2,800 people have died, another 3,000 injured.
I mean, absolutely. When you hear and cover news like this, it's very shocking to see that country's population just turns into a head counts of yesterday we were covering the Morocco earthquake. It was just 2,800 people have died. You can see that this debris that we are seeing right now used to inhabit a lot of a population right now, and
it's
now
a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well in Marrakesh.
And now the history of Morocco is just turned into dust, which is saddening to see. You can see the debris and everything is because something like this happens. Who is to blame? The rescue operations are going, they are doing the best they can, but when something like this hits a country, I think it's important for everybody to support them as much as we can. Relief funds that we can send to them and help them in this tough time is something that I think every country should.
You spoke about aid, and I'm reading here in the Indian Express on the international page A supplement of the Indian Express says aid reaches remote Morocco mountain areas, and those mountain area shots were the first few shots that we were showing you. You know, villages across Atlas Mountains received little or no help. Government denies slow response in its first comments. Emergency workers carry out you know, the rescue operations. Even as there's a full-blown picture right here on the Indian Express, it says emergency workers carrying a body in Amizmiz in Morocco. So the human death toll has climbed crossed the 2,800 mark. Some aerial shots of the devastation over there, Nancy. At least 2,600 plus people that have been injured. Most of those killed were in the province of Al-Haus, according to data released by the Interior Ministry. Houses made of mud bricks make hunting for quake survivors even more harder. तो जो लकड़ी ईंट और मिट्टी के घर बने हुए हैं,
you know, they're traditional. It's a very traditional civilization, and houses like these, you can see, you know, these are not, they don't hold so much accountability. When, you know, whenever an earthquake hits it, they are the first one to go. And these are historical monuments they're talking about. This is a history of that country, which is now turned into dust. So it's devastating completely that the way, you know, Morocco is suffering right now. And rescue relief, there are always going to be politics over if they are slow and they are not slow. But this is something, you know, country is going through something, an incident, an accident like that, a natural calamity that they have no control over. Because we have to understand the rescue operation, people are also human beings. So they are doing the best they can. But, you know, this devastation that the earthquake has caused, it's going to take a lot of time for Morocco to, you know, come back on its feet.
Right.
And I hope they do it as soon as possible.
well, our you know, hopes and prayers and hearts and warm wishes to all those who have lost their loved ones in you know, the Moroccan quake tragedy. India has said right at the forefront of the G20 summit that if there's anything that India can do to help, well, you need only ask once. Always difficult to cover this kind of news. All right, let's move on, ladies and gents. When we're looking at international news, there's another angle at play. Kim Jong-un is going to meet Russia's Vladimir Putin. And I like how the Times Global is putting it. It says, arms deal in the offing. Kim on the way to Russia for talks with Putin, has a picture of a file photo of Kim Jong-un aboard his special bulletproof train. Citing South Korean government sources, the country's Chosun Ilbo paper reported that the train likely left the North Korean capital of Pyongyang on Sunday evening, and that a Kim-Putin meeting is possible as early as today as well. Now, Putin has no real competitor if he runs for presidential elections again. This is what the Kremlin beg your pardon, says. North Korean leader reportedly aboard his armored train. This is what we're picking up. We don't know, no visuals of it, which is why we can only showcase file visuals for our viewers. The United States officials say duo likely to discuss weapons for the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war की weaponry की बात होगी at a time when in the Delhi Declaration, you know, 8 paragraphs have been given to Ukraine. It is also said that nuclear escalation and that kind of intimidation is not admissible at all. These are lines from the Delhi Declaration, Nancy.
And you know what, Dmitry Peskov is saying that there will be talks between the two delegations, and after that, if necessary, the leaders will continue their communication in one-on-one format. So, I mean, there is going to, you know, Russia and Kim and the North Korea are going to prepare, they are going to strengthen the ties one way or the other. And I am just right now, I'm just worried for the West.
In this kind of dialogue, Kim Jong-un versus Vladimir Putin, who do you think will have the upper hand?
I mean, it's going to be a tough choice, but for me, I think it's going to be Putin, because I feel like, you know, he has that Russian mafia vibe going on with him. And I think because he's at aggression right now, you know, he's trying to, you know, he's in war, he's at war right now. So I think he's going to be more dominating, but I'm not going to underestimate Kim Jong-un in any way, because that guy is something, you know, that has, I'm always scared of him. Whenever I look at his visuals, I'm like, he's so intimidating, because we know nothing about him.
Yeah.
He'll disappear one day he'll disappear, one day any minister will disappear from, and you have no idea where he's going to go.
Only
So-
those two kinds of haircuts that are allowed in North
Yeah.
Korea. I mean, we've seen the interview, haven't we?
We have.
The movie that's on North Korea, and how journalism is carried out in North Korea, how life is lived, what is life like in North Korea?
I'm just excited to see what kind of conservative or restrictive policy that Russia and North Korea is going to come up with, because I think the ideas that these countries share are kind of similar. I won't say Russia is that extreme when it comes to restrictions, but the policy that they are going to come up with is something that everybody is looking forward to, and I think West is the something who is going to be the most excited about it, because they are scared that if they talk about weaponry, if there's going to be an arms deal between North Korea and Russia, and then it means that start of the war between Russia and Ukraine, then there is going to be second phase or third phase of the war again.
Right.
So I get the West is concerned, but I'm excited to see, and I'm really looking forward to see what comes out of the
If
meeting.
we get to see, because this is all being done in
True.
secrecy, he's
We are talking about Putin.
according to sources, he's on board his bullet train. But is he really on that bullet train? Is he heading that way? Well, we'll have to find out. Wait and find out. Also, when we're looking at the international developments, let's shift our focus to Israel, ladies and gentlemen. That judicial overhaul that we've been speaking about for the longest time, which will give more power to the government to select the judges, which will give more power to the government to overturn Supreme Court decisions. And why it is of great significance is the fact that Netanyahu, the current leader of Israel, is already facing several cases, court cases. So it's time for his case to come up in the Supreme Court, which is why many are saying that he is trying to make sure that he has the judicial power as well, which is why people are calling this a judicial overhaul, a judicial overreach. These are visuals from Tel Aviv, of course, that you're seeing on your screens. A sea of Israeli flags on the streets. Time and again we've seen it, that Netanyahu's residence has also been approached upon by these group of protesters. So security, take a look at that. Powerful corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
I mean, this is something that the protests have been going on for a very long time, and I think the way Netanyahu just came up with the judicial reforms, I mean, it's obviously because when a leader who already has a case coming up in the court comes up with a judicial reform that the government is now going to be the most powerful body in the country, and the Supreme Court, because people, where do the people will go? They go to courts for justice, and now you're saying that even if they give you justice, if the government doesn't want to give you
it's
the
going to be a
justice,
historic Supreme Court session now, Nancy. I'm reading a
Absolutely.
copy of a latest Reuters copy on the internet, and it says that the court is going to hear the appeal today over curb to own powers. Now ruling could take months, possibly giving time for a rethink as well. So this is going to carry out. Thousands of Israeli anti-government protesters rallied at the Supreme Court on Monday, the eve of a historic hearing on a bid by Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition to curb the court's powers. Forming a sea of blue and white Israeli flags, which you can see on your screens, the protesters chanted democracy, democracy, in a show of support for the Supreme Court, which on Tuesday will convene its entire 15-judge bench. So the Supreme Court's entire 15-judge bench is going to, for the first time in Israeli history, sit together for Netanyahu government's, far-right government's, plan and bid to curb the court's powers. Entire bench is going to sit down. 15 judges of the Supreme Court of Israel. The judges will hear appeals against a judicial amendment that was passed by Netanyahu's National Religious Coalition in July, and which sparked uproar for what critics say is an attempt to weaken and curb the court's powers. Israel was always a democratic country, open and liberal, said protester David Lisham. And of course, the article goes on. But you essentially get the idea. This is what the impasse is. People are saying this will give more power to Netanyahu. Netanyahu is saying that this is being done for the betterment of the country. People have already, stormed his house, his own residential building. He wasn't there. His wife was there. But more importantly, the white and blue sea of Israeli flags is something that you'll continue to see. 15 judge, which is the entirety of the Supreme Court, are going to, first time in the history of Israel, will sit down and listen into these pleas. and the ruling could take months, which means aane wale time mein, for the days to come, this is going to be a never-ending process which well, just won't end, it seems like. Also, when we're looking at international developments, ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus to Libya as well. From the judicial reforms, well, if it happens. Let's shift our focus to Libya, because I'm reading here, Nancy, that powerful storm floods batter Libya, 150 people killed in Libya as well. Again, an important story. I'll just give you the news straight up, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to ask the control room if they've got any visuals from, well, Libya, do try and throw them up on the screen. A powerful storm and floods killed over 150 people in the eastern Libyan city of Derna over the last 2 days, and the death toll is expected to rise to 250, which is the head of the Red Crescent in Benghazi, who's confirmed this particular quote. Footage on social media showed people stranded on the roofs of their vehicles as Storm Daniel hit Benghazi, Sous, Al-Baida, beg your pardon, Al-Marj and Derna, a city on the Mediterranean some 250 kilometers east of Benghazi. A quote by the Red Crescent, Qais Fakri says, "We recorded at least 150 deaths after the collapse of buildings. The toll is likely to reach 250. Now, the toll in other areas was not immediately clear, as per the report, which is by put out by the Tribune. It says the toll in the missing includes 7 members of the Libyan National Army. Its spokesman Ahmed Mismari has confirmed. Heavy floods washed away vehicles. Footage broadcast by Eastern Libya's television channels have showed. The channel also posted pictures of a collapsed road between Sous and Shahat, home to the Greek-founded and UNESCO-listed archaeological site Sierne. Witnesses said the water level had reached 3 meters, which is 10 feet. In Derna. So, situation not well for Libya as well. Morocco, we earlier saw Turkey, Sudan's infighting in itself. I mean, the entire region. I think the only good thing that's happened in the entire region in the longest time is, of course, the India-Europe Middle East corridor, which is certainly going to put light on all these issues. But you know what? On the Indian Express, there's an interesting and very important story that I really think we should bring to our viewers. And if you've got an Indian Express subscription, ladies and gentlemen, you must take a look at this one. Next time I'm going to put out my CV for my next job. I'll make sure I hire an astrologer as well.
You have
this is the news that we're tracking. On the front page, it says, close to 100 messages show regular exchange between the two in May and June 2022. Now, who are these two people that we're talking about? This is an astrologer, an Indian football team's coach. Asian Cup prelims. Indian football coach gave details of players to astrologer, picked team on the astrologer's advice. Coach Igor Stimac, says Football Federation introduced astrologer Sharma. Ex-official said Sharma was paid about rupees 12 to 15 lakh for this. I'll just read a couple of excerpts from the chat. The astrologer says, "You let me know the dates which you would prefer for me to be there, 6th or 7 onwards. Igor Stimac, the coach, says 6, 9, 12, always 2 days prior to the game. Okay. Astrologer says, okay, so I will be there from the 6th to the 14th. Coach says, please check for a specific player, as you said, not an ideal day or phase for him, something like that. Others are below average, so could do maybe much more. Astrologer says, okay, let me check. Coach says, compare that player to, well, takes 3 other names. Of course, the anonymity of the players has been maintained, but the coach, Igor Stimac, I mean, you'd expect, an Indian to be more superstitious, but Igor Stimac, he himself is so superstitious, I did not know. Astrologer says, the day is in the following order for the 4 of them, proceeds to the list of the 4 names in the descending order. Kisko kis din khilana hai, kaun si position pe. Hi dear friend. You can check charts for each player from the list for 11 June. Kickoff time is at 8:30. On 9 June 2022, 48 hours before India was scheduled to face Afghanistan in a crucial Asia Cup qualifier in Kolkata, national football team coach Igor Stimac sent this message to Bhupesh Sharma, an astrologer from Delhi NCR, who was introduced to him by a top All India Football Federation official. The Indian Express has put out this exclusive, so let's give them due credit. The list which Stimac referred to had the names of the probable 11 for the game. A must-win for an out-of-form and injury-ridden India to remain in the contention for the prestigious Continental Championship. Within hours, the astrologer replied with his remarks against each name: good, can do well, needs to avoid overconfidence, a below-average day for this guy, a very good day for him, so definitely put him, might get over-aggressive, so take your call accordingly, not recommended for the day. An hour before kick-off on June 11th. I mean, I'm just thinking, where are Manchester United, Chelsea, Juventus? Why don't they also hire Bhupesh Sharma? Has a whole career in front of him.
Astrologer is the right way to select your team, guys. It's just not, what are you doing testing them on the field? Just go and ask your astrologer. He'll tell you the order. And I'm just really excited to see if this astrologer gets proven right.
And if
he's already been paid 12 to 15 lakh
rupees.
So my alternate career is there.
For Indian cricket team, I mean, Ajit Agarkar sahab, aap bhi shayad, why are you also working so hard? Why don't just hire Bhupesh Sharma and he can then select the Indian cricket team also? And to Eric Ten Hag out there, if you're listening, if by some way this video does get to you, Manchester United is not doing so well. How about you take the service of Bhupesh Sharma and throw some light on how Manchester United can perform better as well. A real funny story. Of course, it has a full-blown story that you can read on the Indian Express. But I just thought that it was interesting, and we'll throw this information out there. A crucial hearing on Gyanvapi is also going to take place today, even as various petitions challenging the sedition law, another archaic law that we're dealing with. I mean, sedition, defamation, all these laws. The Home Minister did, of course, change the criminal laws in the country. But sedition law ko challenge karte hue kuch petitions aaj Supreme Court mein hai. The apex body is now going to listen to and hear out those petitions as well. This essentially is the roundup of the day. I do want to talk about cricket because, well, cricketing experts have done it, and I think all of us, 140 crore of us, are all cricketing experts. We don't need to tell each other why Virat Kohli performed real well, or KL Rahul performed well right after coming back. Kuldeep Yadav is one name that I'll definitely take. But that's all the time we have for you. Later on in the day, of course, we'll bring you a discussion on the Vishwakarma Yojana that the Prime Minister is going to be launching on his birthday this Sunday. On the 17th, just one day before the parliamentary special session. Again, what great optics. I mean, you just have to give it to the guy. He doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
Doesn't get tired. Our Prime Minister, he's really spot on. He's got, his energy is next level. Apart from that, we're going to talk about Manipur at 1 p.m. In the afternoon, later on in the day, we'll bring the top news from South India, only on the South Indian with Sudha Sadanand. The top global news under the global lens with Neha Khanna later on in the evening. And of course, during the course of the day, we'll continue to bring you the top developing stories. So do tune in and stay on to News 9 on various platforms across YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and of course the News 9 Plus application. Nuanced perspectives, intricate details in the time that you have. This is all the time Nancy and Kabir have for you. Both of us signing off. Keep watching News 9 Live.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में
ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why should we even be a part of it?
The Rat Race. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly saying that Imran Khan is a better choice.
Imran Khan may have bitten a bit too much, more than what he can chew.
Implosion. This and more. Streaming on world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus. Download now.
Well, hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and ardent newspaper reader, Nancy Bora. And what we're essentially up to every day in the morning is to take a look at the overnight developments, is to take a look at what the top headlines are telling us from English, Hindi, regional newspapers from down south as well. What are some tabloid headlines telling us? And that's actually not enough. We'll also tell you what the social media is abuzz with. If there's a meme that's going viral, well, the Gen Z can break it down for you. And if there's a video that's going viral, we'll try and throw it up there on the big wall so that everybody can enjoy it. Albeit, I say it every now and then that, most viral videos are videos that you can't show, in the public domain. Now, then again, the idea of the show is today's page one is to deconstruct today's page one for what we're going to essentially be covering throughout the day. It happens on a phone call or a Zoom call these days, which is an editorial meet. And what we're trying to do is to let you, the viewers, take part in our editorial meet. If there's anything that you think is worthy enough to be discussed, debated upon, get down in the